that it's a must that we learn the Arabic language. Why? Because al-kabir, kabir yani wasfun lish-shay, is a description of, okay. As for kabira, now, as for kabira, this is what means a major sin. As for kabira, this is what means a major sin. You see? Because the plural of kabira is kaba'ir al-dhunub. You see? As for kabir, then this is something that's being big. So those who said la yu'adhabani bi kabir, they're not, or min kabir, they're not being punished for something big. It doesn't mean it's not a major sin. It's something that is easy. It's so easy to fall into, but the sin is major. You see? Because it's kabiratun is what means a major sin. As for kabir, this just means big. This is why we have to know the difference between kabir wa kabira. So then the Prophet ﷺ said, وَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيُكْرِمْ ضَيْفَهُ. Also from al-Islam is ikram al-dayf. And this was from the sifat of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. In Sahih Bukhari, in Kitab Bad al-Wahi, how the revelation started, when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came back to Khadija radiallahu anha, and he said, Zammiluni, Zammiluni, and he was in a state of shock. And she gave him comfort and saying, Allah is not going to punish you or leave you in despair. And then she mentioned the good characteristics of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And she said, tuqri'u ad-dayf. She said the word tuqri'u ad-dayf. That means you host your guest, you are guest. You see? So from al-Islam is having good manners towards your guests. If you see your neighbors and your guests, as was both mentioned in the hadith, you see your neighbor needs help, assistance, you should be the first and foremost to help them as a Muslim for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? And you're going to get reward for it. And if they're non-Muslim, this is husnul mu'amala. This is good conduct between the people that may encourage a person to become Muslim. Can you imagine what would happen if someone, let's say for example, takhayyalu, like imagine, because it's not impossible, from your da'wah, your example, min husn al-khuluq, aslama insan, wahid aslama, min mu'amalatik, from dealing with you, someone embraces al-Islam, then becomes talib al-ilm, then becomes a student of knowledge, then becomes scholar. You never know. And it started from what? You. Showing them good manners. And you will get reward for everything that they do. Or a person became Muslim, your neighbor, and they were rich, and they all give sadaqah. Who guided to that? Who was the means for the guidance of Islam? Allah ja'alaka sababan. Allah made you a means. You see? But what's important that we have left off? Some Muslims think Islam is having a hard face. Looking strong, looking shadeed. هذا ليس من الإسلام. Rather the hadith says, تلقت الوجه في أخيك صدقة. الابتسام في وجه أخيك صدقة. Smiling in your brother's face is sadaqah. So why is it a Muslim, some, not all, some, especially in the West, believe Islam is having a hard face, looking the part, looking serious, I'm that guy. La, this is not the way. You see? Because what did the Prophet Muhammad say in another hadith? Ittaqillah haythuma kunt. Fear Allah wherever you are. وَأَتْبَعِ السَّيِّئَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ تَمْحُوهَا وَخَالِقِ النَّاسِ بِخُلُقٍ حَسَنٍ. He said in this hadith, fear Allah wherever you are. Wherever you go, wherever you are, on the face of this earth, you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You always know Allah will never forget about you, what you do. You'll be made to know. You see, those things you forgot about, Allah will bring it forth for you in your scrolls. You see, it's going to come a time. So always remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wherever you are. Okay, what is taqwa? What is fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And I've mentioned this to you guys before. Who can remind us? What is a taqwa? To place a barrier between you and that which is displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, earning Allah's anger. How? What is that barrier? Because in Arabic it's waqaya. It's from the same verb. Taqwa wal waqaya min nafs al fi'l. It's from the same verb. So what is the barrier? Ma hiya al wiqaya? What is the barrier that you place between Allah's anger or being deserving of Allah's punishment? Ijtinab al-ma'asiyah wal ma'asi is staying away from disobedience. And ijtinab al-nawahi, staying away from that which you have been prohibited from. How else? Fulfilling the commands. Imtithal bil-awamir. This is taqwa. You see? Because the verb is waqa, yaqi. Allah says, qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. This is from the verb waqa. But this verb in the Arabic language is called fi'l al-lafif al-mafruq. It's when there's two weak letters and not in a row. So waw, qaf, ya, weak letters. You see? Fi'l al-lafif al-mafruq. Okay? So, and it means waqa. So Allah says, qu anfusakum. Save. Because waqa means to safeguard. Take protection. You see? Save yourself and your families from what? The hellfire. Kayfa. How do you save your family and yourself? You have to save yourself first. You can't save no one if you haven't saved yourself. Can you stop someone drowning if you're drowning? It's not possible. So you have to save yourself from the hellfire first and be an example and save your family. How do you do that? By fulfilling the commands and staying away from the prohibitions. This is how a person saves himself and the family from the hellfire. So in this hadith, those manners that is mentioned, as I mentioned, ittaqullah haythuma kunt, then it says, وَأَتْبَعِ السَّيِّئَةَ الْحَسَنَةَ تَمْحُهَا. After you do something good, wallahi, this shows us that we always need to take ourselves to account. After you do something evil, follow it with something good. Why? Tamhuha, because it will erase the bad deed. It will erase the evil. Allahu arhamur rahimin. Allah is the most merciful. And this hadith shows us mercy. Because Allah says in the Quran, Innal hasanati yudhibna sayyi'at. Indeed, the good deeds get rid of the evil ones. In this hadith, وَأَتْبَعِ السَّيِّئَةَ الْحَسَنَةَ تَمْحُهَا. When you do something bad, do something good immediately, it will get rid of it. What's the best act of good you can do after something bad? Salah. What else? What's the best thing? What comes to mind? Like think about after doing something bad, what's the best thing you can do? Tawbah. Allah loves that you seek His forgiveness. Had we not sought forgiveness, had we been perfect, Allah would have got rid of us and replaced us with sinners who would sin and make tawbah. Allah loves that a person returns to Allah and seeks His forgiveness. Of course. Yeah. Because this is ruju' ila Allah. You see? A tawbah. This is that a person, one, you recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Two, you acknowledge you've disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Three, you hate this in your heart that you've disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Four, you try to stop this sin. This is not the conditions. This is just the ta'thir ala nafs or fi nafs min at-tawbah. The effect tawbah has in a person's soul. If a person didn't acknowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why are they making tawbah? You see? And that's the problem with those who have gone astray, who don't believe in Allah. They don't believe anyone's there to take them to account. So they do as they wish. Whereas the Muslim even when they're doing wrong, if they have any a little bit of iman in their heart, they will know they've disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they won't feel happy about it. And I can promise you, many of the people who sin and indulge in sin, they're not comfortable when they go to sleep at night. They're not comfortable. Wallahi, when you give da'wah, especially, and have experience giving da'wah, one of the main things that people are running away from is the thought of death. And in experience, wallahi, I see a guy, atheist, talking the most. He thought he had, even smoking weed, he thought he had the wisdom that day. So he was going in like, yeah. As soon as I said, okay, he said to me, how do you have certainty? I said, death. He was like, that was the end of it. He didn't say another word. Because this is the thing that they fear. And have you noticed, those who don't believe in Allah, that's the thing they give themselves. Oh, you might come back as an animal or another person. You'll come back again. La. Allah is going to put you in the grave. And then you'll taste the punishment of the grave. Or if you're a believer and Allah is pleased with you, you taste the bliss of it. Then you're going to be raised on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And then you're going to be the yaqeen. That's why death is called yaqeen. Why? Because then a person will have certainty. But it's too late. You can't go back. But Allah told us in the Quran, they're going to say, please send me back. So I can believe. So I can do the goodness I left off. Allah says it's just a statement that they are saying. Had they gone back, لَرَجُعُوا إِلَى مَا فَعَلُوا, they would have done exactly the same thing. You see? But the Muslim, al-mu'min, and that's why look how the Prophet said it. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawm al-akhir. It's a condition. If you truly believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then believe in the what? The hereafter. Yawm al-akhir, Yawm al-qiyamah, Yawm al-hisab, Yawm al-taghabun, Yawm al-fasl, Yawm al-deen. If you believe in this should reflect in your actions. Because these are the things that will make a person fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yani al-iman bil-yawm al-akhir يتعلق بكل ما يقع بعد الموت. بكل ما يقع بعد الموت. This is connected to everything that will come and happen after death. Knowing that you may be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will think. So easy is it to say something that will cause problems. So easy is it to say something that may be the reason you enter into Jannah. I was listening to a sheikh yesterday, and subhanallah, he mentioned the fa'idah that Imam Abu Dawood, who's Imam Abu Dawood? Son of Imam Ahmed. Now, Sunan Abi Dawood, he's a son of Imam Ahmed. He said to Imam Ahmed, he asked him, كتبت الحديث بنية? Did you write hadith with intention? Look at the kind of questions that they ask, subhanAllah. He said, أمر النية شديد. The affair of the niyyah is severe, is great. ولكن حبب إلي فجمعته. He said that I was made to love it. I was granted success in loving the intention of having ikhlas, that I managed to fulfill it, that I managed to gather it together in my works. You see? And what he said, Amrun niyya shadid. It's not hard, it's not easy to have ikhlas. It's very hard to have ikhlas. You see? But this is the thing, a person has to have mujahadat al-nafs. You have to fight against your soul. Always. Because the hardest thing is ikhlas. Allah says, "Inna nafsa la'ammaratun bis-su." The soul is inclined to evil. Ikhlas, this is, subhanAllah, not one of us knows if one salah is accepted. And the Salaf would say, it would give me joy just to know that one salah was accepted. Because you don't know. None of us know any action we have done. We can say, Wallahi, I did it with ikhlas, 100% ikhlas, and I'm definitely going to get reward for it. Not one person can say this. However, this is the hope of the Muslim. This is the husn al-dhan billah, that a person has good thoughts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But here in this hadith, if you have this iman, if you are true to your claim that you believe in Allah and the last day, This is what is expected from you. How many times do you find ourselves, we say things, and when we think about it, it's like, subhanAllah, I shouldn't have said that. Or that speech is not good, it's not befitting for the Muslim. You see? Or I had an argument with someone, and so enraged, my tongue went loose. My tongue went loose. These are the things you have to take caution of. Always take yourself to account. Before you speak, I give myself a personal principle. I would rather you hate me for my silence than have something that against me that I said. I can't please you if you hate me for what I didn't say, but I'd rather that than you hold me account for something I said to you. Because it's hard. It's sometimes you don't want to say something, but it comes out. But once that's come out, there's no taking it back. It's gone. You see? That's why I say, asnan sijnul lisan. Your teeth is the prison for the tongue. As soon as you open, khalas, you've opened the door for either khair, if you're coming speaking with knowledge, or shar, if you haven't tamed your tongue. And that's why the poet used to say, احفظ لسانك أيها الإنسان لا يلدغنك إنه ثعبان كم من قتيل من خطير لسانه كانت تهاب لقاءه الشجعان. These lines of poetry are jameel. He says, the poet says, and لعله Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah mentions, safeguard your tongue, O mankind, for indeed it is a snake. Do not let it bite you. How many people have died or in a dangerous situation because of the severity of their tongue? Even the courageous one was fearful of encountering the tongue. Showing that the amrul lisan shadid. The affair of a person's tongue is very, very shadid. A person has to always safeguard their tongue. You see? Family is split because of the tongue. You say one word, khalas, because of the tongue. A person, you can spread evil lies about a person from here to the other half of the world, especially today with the social media and the likes, and ruin a person's honor in a second because of the tongue. That a person now, and there's no difference in that which you write and that which you say. In terms of when you're speaking about people. Ghiba wa namima. You see? If I said it, voice note, if I text it, saying the same evil about a person, it can reach the same amount of people. Especially today. That a person, if you have nothing good to say, condition yourself upon silence. How many times have we witnessed some of the ulama, they come and you see them sitting, and when the translator is speaking for them, what do you notice that they do? They're only remembering Allah. These are the things I observe, because you want to be like the Sheikh. You see? Remember they say Imam Ahmed, 5,000 of his students, what did they learn from him? Adab. Because it's important, especially for the student of knowledge. There is certain manners you have to have. You have to adorn yourself with. Because this is respect for knowledge. This is giving knowledge its rights. Knowledge has rights. Your teacher has its rights. Your work, your books, they have rights. So as a student of knowledge, you have to be aware of these things. Certain characteristics you have to adorn yourself with. And this doesn't mean you're not going to have shortcomings here and there. No one's perfect. It's impossible. But we have to strive to adorn ourselves with these manners. From them, we have to learn how to hold this. You see? We have to learn how to control the tongue. And at first it'll be hard, it'll be difficult. But if you have nothing good to say, wallahi, stay silent. If your mouth's hurting because you're used to talking and your tongue, just Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Subhanallah, La hawla la quwwata illa billah. These statements are so easy on the tongue, but the reward is immense. When I was listening to the Sheikh yesterday, as I was mentioning, and he was talking about this point when Imam Ahmed said, I was given tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to love and have hirs and eagerness in attaining ikhlas, that I managed to attain it. In terms of when he wrote his hadith, he had intention in doing so. And this was for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Shaykh, he mentioned in explaining this, the hadith when the Prophet said, إِنَّ الْعَبْدِ لَيَتَكَلَّمْ بِكَلِمَةٍ لَا يُلْقِي مِنْ رِضْوَانِ اللَّهِ لَا يُلْقِي لَهَا بَالًا يَرْفَعُ اللَّهُ بِهَا دَرَجَاتٍ. That a person, a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a worship of Allah, will say something from the words that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they don't give it any concern. They don't think about the significance of what they said, but they had ikhlas when they said it. He mentioned, يَرْفَعَ اللَّهُ بِهَا darajat. Allah will raise them in rank. Also, another narration mentioned that he will be entered into Jannah. And vice versa. A person says something from the words that are from the that is displeasing to Allah, not giving it any concern of how severe it is. And this will be a means that he'll be thrown in by his face in the pits of the hellfire. The Shaykh mentioned that one word a person may say with ikhlas may be the reason Allah will say, because of what you said, up until Yawm al-Qiyamah, you're going to Jannah. Just one word. It could be one word that you say that is displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is from the worst of sins to Allah, it could be of shirk, that will throw you in the pits of the hellfire. The person is to be careful of what they say. Also, is sometimes we get involved in issues. We mentioned the hadith, min husn Islam al-mar'i tarkuhu ma la ya'nihi. From the best of a person's Islam is leaving off that which doesn't concern them. How many times do we find ourselves talking about other people's affairs, getting involved in other people's affairs, even getting people involved in other people's affairs? This is from the evil of our time that cause corruption and splitting among the brotherhood, among the sisterhood. And most times when you ponder over the issues that we're facing, it's because of this, the tongue. No one got physical. People nearly got physical as a result, but it started with this. And it's so easy to forget what people have said sometimes. So easy. But the one you harmed with your words, they're never going to forget it. They're never going to forget it. So as a condition, if you're someone who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the last day, careful what you say. Safeguard your tongue. And also, be good to your neighbor. Your neighbor should never have anything bad to say about you. You see, you should never cause harm to your neighbor. We also have to bear patience upon our neighbors. We have Islam, sometimes they don't have Islam. That means we know better. Sometimes their actions, they don't intend to cause harm. For example, your neighbor's always banging off music. For them, that's normal. They expect you to do it too. You see? However, sometimes you just have to bear patience. Or if you wanted to address the matter, you have to say it in the best of ways. Condition yourself, practice before you say it, because it might come out wrong. You see, sometimes you have to say it to yourself a few times. That's the reality. And when you have a guest, you have to honor your guest. Treat your guest well. At least if you don't have anything in your house, you offer water. It's nothing. You see? But there's ajr in this. You see? So a person shouldn't be negligent of these small things that there's many reward in. Especially being dutiful to your neighbors. Indonesia is one of the biggest, probably the biggest Islamic country in the world, to the Muslim populated. They embraced Islam. Islam came to them through how? It wasn't from the sword. Some husn al-mu'amala, good dealings in what? Business. This is very important, especially in business. So many Muslims today are involved in business, but how many of them have learnt fiqh of business? Or looked at anything to do with fiqh of business to make sure they're not oppressing themselves or anyone else? You see? The companions, they used to do business. Prophet ﷺ did business. How many of us reflect that characteristic in our workplaces, in our trades. Islam is not part-time, all the time. And of those greatest attributes of the Muslim is husn al-khuluq, that person to have good manners. You want to get married, for example, what are people going to ask about? They want a reference for you. What's the question they're going to ask? Your character, your deen, the way you practice Islam. This is your character. This is what they see of your actions, your statements. Your deen is your practice. How do you practice the religion? What did the Prophet Muhammad say? إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was sent to complete the best of manners. So even if you apply for Islamic university or you're applying for a job and you need a character reference, it's called a character reference. What are they looking for? How are you as a person? Are you truthful? Are you reliable? Are you trustworthy? These are sifat al-Muslim. These are the characteristics a Muslim is supposed to have. You see? And all of these characteristics, we find them in the Quran and the Sunnah. Allah says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرِ. Look, al-iman billah wal-yawm al-akhir. In the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have the best of example for those who hope for Allah and the yawm al-akhir, the last day. You see? Because your belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is what you're going to get questioned about on the last day. Yawm al-akhir, al-qiyam al-sa'a. This starts when you die. When we return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our it starts. And then we go through the procedure in the grave, the first test. Based on your iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Did you believe in Allah? Did you believe in His messenger that He chose and He revealed His revelation to? Did you implement the religion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose for us to implement? These are the questions you're going to get asked. When? For Yawm al-Akhir. Everything that happens after death. You see? So this is the main concern of the Muslim. Belief in Allah and preparing for the last day. This is our daily concern. Our belief in Allah and preparing for the last day. So these are the things you have to observe as a Muslim to better yourself and to do that which is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. طيب. The next hadith is the hadith of Abi Hurairah also, رضي الله عنه, أن رجلا قال للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أوصني قال لا تغضب فردد مرارا قال لا تغضب رواه البخاري. So I mentioned this hadith that a man came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he said, advise me, أوصني, advise me, admonish me, give me an advice that is specific to me, that I can remember, that I need to implement. The Prophet said, لا تغضب, don't become angry. لا تغضب. Here, don't become angry. How does a person not become angry? A person stays away from everything that would lead and cause him to become angry. You see? Because if we wait to the moment of when you become angry, it's too late. You're going to become angry. يعني لابد أن توقف مقدمات الغضب. You have to put a stop to that which will introduce and bring about the anger. You see? So لا تغضب ابتعد عن كل شيء يبغضك. Stay away from all of those things that cause you anger. But the asl is لا تغضب. Don't become angry. i.e., stay away from everything that will cause you to become angry. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he gave this advice, he repeated it 3 times. He repeated it 3 times. فَرَدَّدَ مِرَارًا. In other narration it mentions that it was said 3 times. Also, it mentions a thing that is discussed here. It says, if it is said, يعني لما عدل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن الوصية بالتقوى الله التي هي وصية الله للأولين والآخرين ولقد وصينا الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم وإياكم أن اتقوا الله إلى قوله لا تغضب. It mentioned, why did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, instead of saying fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I have taqwa of Allah, as we mentioned earlier, what taqwa is, why did the Prophet sallallahu say instead لا تغضب, when Allah has said in the Quran that He has advised وَلَقَدْ وَصَّيْنَا الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ وَإِيَّاكُمْ, we have advised and admonished those who came before you and you yourselves to have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why did the Prophet say لا تغضب? What is mentioned, والله أعلم, أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم علم من حال هذا الرجل أنه كثير الغضب وسريعه وشديده فأوصاه بهذه الوصية الجامعة ليكون قويا في طاعة الله شديد الحرص على مرضاته فليس الشديد بالسرعة وإنما الشديد الذي يملك نفسه عند الغضب وليس المراد النهي عن الغضب الذي هو من طباع البشر وإنما املك نفسك عند الغضب بحيث لا تنفذ ما يقتضيه الغضب من شر ومعصية لأن الغضب حمرة يلقيها الشيطان في قلب ابن آدم فلهذا تجده تحمر عيناه وتنتفخ أوادجه وربما يذهب شعوره بسبب الغضب ويفعل أشياء لا تحمد عقباها فيندم ندما شديدا على ما حصل منه. It mentions here the reason why the Prophet Muhammad said to this person, لا تغضب. And this is a very important point because sometimes a person will come to you and say, Ya akhi, and you know me well, and he advised me. The Prophet advised him with what was more befitting for him to hear. Perhaps the Prophet was aware that this person is very angry, gets very angry easily, quickly. And when he's angry, he's very dangerous. It's a problem. So he advised him with that which was more befitting for him to be aware of. You see, for example, you may know someone prays a lot on time, all the time, and they say, advise me. You're not going to advise him about salah because you can see he's already doing that well. But you may know that, for example, he doesn't smile, always frowning. You're going to advise him in that. Because you know, okay, advise him about the salah. No, mashallah, akhi, yusalli. Da'iman fil masjid ma'al jama'ah. Always praying in the jama'ah with the congregation with the masjid. So I can't advise him about that. But I notice he never smiles. He's always screwing his face. So you're going to advise him on that. You see? Or, for example, maybe he always raises his voice. And obviously the most annoying and worst of voices is the voice of the donkey. So the Muslim is not someone to be walking around loud, can be heard by everyone. So you might advise him in that. So you have to know what you're going to advise a person on. You see, when it comes to giving advice as well, you're meant to know, have some knowledge that when you give advice, you do not cause more harm than bring about benefit. And what is mentioned, sometimes when a person becomes angry, they lose control of themselves and they lose consciousness of their feelings. That sometimes a person is so enraged, they do something that when they are brought back to their senses, they are in extreme regret. How many people may have killed someone just because they became so enraged in a moment? Sometimes it was by a punch. We've heard it before. A person punched someone. Did they intend to kill him? No. But what happened? He was so angry. The punch at that time caused more harm than it would have done in any other time. And the person ended up dead. But what was the thing that had to be controlled? The anger. You see? Always, these are the things that this section of the hadith that I've been mentioned about the manners, the akhlaq that people say they can't change. I've lived like this for years. I'm from this background. Come on, Umar ibn Khattab changed. Many of the Sahabas, they changed. Who did they change for? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah says, ما يغير الله ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. Allah does not change the condition of a people till they change the condition of themselves. This shows us that we can change if we want to. You see? So I think there might be a question there. Let's check if they're not there. Oh no, it's downstairs. No, I think it might be. So the main problem we have, people don't want to change. Some people are so stuck in their ways, they actually enjoy having some characters that are not praiseworthy. They don't want to change. Or they say, I can't change. They just submitted to their desires. You don't want to work hard. But it's like once you strive for that little bit, from being a guy who's always abus, always frowning, to Al-Mubtasim, always smiling, it'll become easy and you'll enjoy it. And people start to know you for this. Imagine someone said, هل تعرف محمد؟ نعم هو عبوس. دائما يعني يعبس. He's always frowning. So, do you know Ahmed? Yeah, ما أحمد رجل طيب يعني طريق الوجه دائما يبتسم. Yeah, Ahmed, mashallah, he has a friendly face, always smiling. You see? Because you'll be known from your characteristic. People see it. That's how they know you. That's what attracts people towards you. If you're kind, have good manners, you're going to find people who want to be with you. If you're always angry, always talking aggressive, no one wants to be around you. You see? So it's upon a person, when someone seeks your advice also, then one, you have to know what it is that you're giving them advice in. You have to have knowledge of the matter being advised. Don't be quick to give advice. Sometimes we may feel when someone asks for advice, you don't have to answer straight away. Take your time. Someone asks you a question, there's no obligation. Do you know what the problem is we have today? On Instagram and WhatsApp and stuff, alhamdulillah, I don't have blue ticks. I took that off. Because sometimes I can't respond. I have to wait until it's a reasonable time. People get angry. You saw my message though. Yeah, I did see it. Of course, it told you I saw it because I saw it. I know I saw it too. But I couldn't answer at that time. You see? No excuses made. You saw the message. Fear Allah. Where's the excuse? You see? It's a problem, especially if you get questions. Sometimes you get questions like, Allah musta'an, akhi. Some people, it's like there's no excuse. It's like they own you. No, when that message comes from me and my name pops up, you have to respond. Where is this from? You see? And they get angry because you haven't responded yet. So when it comes to giving nasiha, never feel obliged that you have to respond straight away. From husnul adab, yes, from good manners, they say, look, I've received your message. I'm going to get back to you as soon as I can, inshallah. Don't just leave it hanging. Especially if they wrote assalamu alaikum. At least return the salams. At least. See, but when it comes to advice, we have to know what we are giving advice in, and we have to be able to weigh up the harms and the evils when it comes to giving advice. Because there are times when you study qawaid al-fiqhiyya, principles of fiqh, there are times when your advice may bring about more evil, so it's not allowed for you to give advice. If there's a situation like that, you warning against a particular evil may bring about a worse evil, be quiet. And us, in general, we're small students of knowledge. Even me, small students of knowledge. We have to know our place, what to talk about, how to talk, and who we're talking to. When it comes to advice, we always have to be aware of these things. Myself, my level, my capacity, what I'm talking about, my audience. Because sometimes we bring about more harm than good because we are negligent of these matters. So what is also mentioned regarding this hadith of La Taghdab, the Prophet Muhammad said that this hadith is of Ibn Abbas, that it's authentic based on other hadith that strengthen it. إِذَا غَضِبَ أَحَدُكُمْ فَلْيَسْكُتْ. If one of you becomes angry, be quiet. Remember the last hadith, مَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَسْمُتْ. Whoever believes in Allah in the last day, let him speak good or remain silent. If you become angry, be quiet. Even if people are pushing you to talk then, go on, say something. Stay quiet. Condition yourself to have these attributes. Wallahi, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It may be difficult, but when you strive to have this character, it becomes easy. You learn to just turn it off. Someone's talking, shouting. Stay quiet. Get yourself out of the situation. Know yourself as well, because everyone knows what they can take. Some people, you can say whatever you want to say, it will never affect them. Some people are affected as soon as you start talking. The heart is soft. You have to know yourself. You see? Because when we لا تغضب, ghadab, away from things that will bring about your anger. Not saying don't get the peak of your anger. No, don't get there. Don't allow yourself to arrive at that level. You have to stay away from those things that will be the cause of your anger. And in another hadith, it mentions يعني أمر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من غضب بالجلوس أو الاتجاع. ففي حديث أبي ذر الصحيح عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا غضب أحدكم وهو قائم فليجلس فإن ذهب عنه الغضب وإلا فليضطجع. It mentions that if a person becomes angry, if any of you become angry, then and he's standing, while he's standing, then sit down. Let him sit down. If the anger has gone, alhamdulillah, khalas, the anger's gone. From those steps, you took the first step, sitting down. If the anger goes, alhamdulillah. If it doesn't go, lie down. If it doesn't go, then a person should lie down. And a person should seek, first and foremost, refuge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the shaitan. Remember, shaitan loves evil to be spread amongst mankind. So in times of anger especially, he's going to be at the forefront. He's going to be at the forefront. And insan, yani, forgets. So you have to remind yourself sometimes. Of the best reminders that you constantly review and study hadith like this. 40 hadith is not something you study once. You should read it often. Often. It's not a long text. Imagine you read it so often. How many times you read this hadith? Memorize the hadith. That you actually benefit from it every single time you hear it. Because now you've conditioned yourself upon this knowledge. Knowledge is not to be heard once and forgot about. No. We're learning it to remove ignorance from ourselves. That is the main goal. That is the ikhlas. That is the ikhlas, that a person seeks this knowledge to first and foremost remove the ignorance from themselves. Not to become famous, not to have 100,000 followers, not to become rich. To remove ignorance from yourself, because the one who has knowledge, they will worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better than anyone else. The one who does it upon knowledge. Because they know that which is pleasing to Allah. They know that which is displeasing to Allah. They know how to get more reward from their actions. So the first intention a person has when seeking knowledge, remove the ignorance from yourself. So when we hear these hadith, the goal is, okay, I may be someone who's angry quick. What can I do to change that? What steps do I need to do to have a positive impact in my life, my lifestyle? First and foremost, before I talk about anyone else, how can I make this have a better impact on myself? So inshallah ta'ala, we'll stop there. And next session, we'll go to hadith number 17. For those who are memorizing the hadith, inshallah ta'ala, keep pushing yourself. Even if we finish the book, you haven't memorized it yet, inshallah, when you memorize it, come to me and I'll give you your gift, inshallah. Knowledge-based gifts. No Balenciagas. Knowledge-based. knowledge-based gifts bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Any questions, generally speaking, on our lesson, not anything outside of the lesson? Fadal.
See the Quran, I'm pretty sure everyone would do there's been times where you know the hadith says like if you were angry and sit down,
No.
lie down. There's been times like when you held a violation and you was lying there and just getting mad and trying to sleep because you could. It's crazy. Like, I'm not saying something now, but if there was instances, is it recommended like
Yeah, of course, you do more.
what if you feel like it's just still popping in
Me, there's certain instances I've had it as well. I've experienced it. I've been enraged to a level that I can't even sleep because I'm thinking about that thing. The problem that occurs now is allowing yourself to stay in that state. You see, allowing yourself to remain in that state of anger and enrage where you're actually thinking about it now. Sometimes, well, I've seen people in my dreams I don't want to see. I don't want to see in my sleep, but I've allowed it to get there. See what I'm saying? And that's why it's important also to remember Allah. One of the best things that will make you find ease is reading the Quran. When you're in a state of anger, I remember what Sheikh Ali Tawaji, he mentioned when he came here that time. You have an argument with someone, go and read the Quran straight away. Anyone, just go and read the Quran. Because when you read the Quran, you're not going to be like this. You're straight away, you're going to try and recite with tajweed. Straight away, you're going to beautify your voice. You're going to become calm. You see? And you do that until sleep comes to you. You see? But the problem that we have sometimes is I've been oppressed by someone and I sit and I embrace the thoughts of that oppression like this. And then I become slave to my thoughts. This is a problem. Pride, yeah. Sometimes you have to make tanazul. Like you have to lower your guns, as they say. Even if you're right. Sometimes you have to. It's not easy. Like I can say it, but it doesn't mean I always do it myself. You see? Sometimes my speeches are proof against me. It's the reality. But the reminder, me reminding you, it helps me. You see?
I think that's what to say in the book of the reading. I said regarding your neighbors, said it can be so it could be someone in the household, someone next door to you, or someone who's 40 houses.
Yeah, it's 40 houses to the right, 40 houses to the left, 40 houses that way, 40 houses that way. But in general, wallahi, you don't know how much people in your area know you. When I say know you, you're a familiar face. You see? And in general, especially in Brixton, this is something I like about Brixton, the cultural aspect of when you see some people often end up saying hello one day. Then that hello becomes a how are you? That becomes a conversation. You end up on the same bus. You walk into the same shop. You see? That's how you build that relationship. You having that good character as well, they're going to want to talk to you. If you think about how many times, and you know what? It's the older generation who do this. We're Taliban. The older Caribbean generation, especially. They always say, good morning, sir. You ever experienced that? Many times, I'm talking over 60s. They say good morning, afternoon, evening. But for us, can't even say hello to our neighbor. I've got neighbors, subhanAllah, I want to say hello to them so bad, but it's like, I feel like, you know, I've been there for 7 years, you don't even smile, you don't even look at my direction. How can I say hello to you? And I've tried once, I'm like, okay, I did it. Maybe they're going to say hello next time. Nothing. But you have to try. It's not easy. Yeah, subhanAllah. No, yeah, subhanAllah. The neighbors is very delicate. Very delicate. Yeah.
Straight bad fools.
Yeah.
I don't know because that. Not saying it's that, but I'm saying this day and age because sometimes people's guard is so up so much because that guy you just get ahead to the really
yeah. Yeah, it's true. Nowadays, there's so much evil that's become widespread. Obviously, one of the first things that is mentioned that this ummah will lose is amana, trust. When there's no trust, there's problems. When we have no trust, we have problems. This is a major issue, you see. Even as a parent, sometimes with my kids in the masjid, I'm on guard. Not because I want to be, this is current affairs. This is the reality. And sometimes you can't be oblivious to say, yeah, everyone's Muslim. We know the mental health issue, the concerns that we have. We have two of the biggest hospitals in Lambeth. We're in the middle of both of them, you see. So some kids play over rough. You can't be negligent of this. Sometimes people think, oh, I've told my kids when they come to the masjid to behave, I've told them once, it's enough. You may have to remind your children 100 times, 1,000 times before they actually get it. So it's like sometimes you can't stick it on parents, say, oh, your children are playing around too much, running around too much, making too much noise. The issue is, okay, are you constantly reminding them not to do it though? I understand they're not going to do it straight away. I expect them to, you tell them to sit down, they're going to get up straight as soon as you start praying, as soon as you say Allahu Akbar, it's gone, they're gone. But you have to keep reminding them until one day they get the picture. One day it's going to be like, okay, yeah, I understood what my dad was saying. Or yeah, I understood what my mom was saying. But sometimes we just leave them and say they're kids and we leave them completely. No, there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance, you see, in everything. And it's like nowadays you fear, okay, neighbors, the thing of strangers. Neighbors are not meant to be strangers. That's the reality. But how we live today, they are. I grew up on that phrase, that statement, and many people in my generation older will tell you, it takes a community to raise a child. I used to go certain places. For example, those are from Brixton know 5 ways. 5 ways is down there. I didn't know 5 ways what 5 ways was until I was getting in trouble for going 5 ways. I didn't know I was in 5 ways. I just know I was on a bike with my friends blowing. I got home and I was like, what are you doing in 5 ways? I'm like, how do you know I was in 5 ways? I don't even know what 5 ways is. You see? Or I was in Wandsworth shopping centre going cinema young. My dad's like, okay, I got someone there who's watching you. I'm like, who is this guy? Someone sees me, but they're telling my dad. I couldn't go anywhere. And I'm from Brixton, Stockwell. It goes back, it follows you. That's the generation I'm from. Nowadays, you tell a parent your child is misbehaving. No, wait. Not my child. No, you got it twisted. Or you now have a problem with the parent. And sometimes people go ghulu. They report every single thing to the parents when they're being a child. Not everything you're going to say. Not everything's a problem. You have to have balance. In everything, you have to have balance. You see? Always. Especially in giving advice, always have balance. Always have balance. But see, these hadith, subhanAllah, the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi, one sheikh will say, and someone showed me the benefit. You could go and study 40 hadith of Bukhari, you're going to still be in the same chapter. The book of Al-Wahi, or the book of knowledge, the book of Iman. But as for studying something like the 40 hadith, you get the most important hadith in each chapter. in each topic of manners, of rights, of ikhlas, of iman. You see, everything. So this is a book that you should aim to memorize it. Even if you don't memorize it harfiyan, like letter by letter, someone can say, okay, what's 40 hadith about? You can say, yeah, this is what it's about. Because it's mabadi yani ad-din, the most important foundation of the religion. That's what this book is a study of. It's something that you should go over again and again and again and again and again until you've studied it, and then you can give a 5-minute benefit. Okay, what is this hadith referring to? These are the benefits from the hadith. That's your aim of how you should study these books. Any book in general, whatever you study, can you provide a benefit from that book? You see? Don't read to read, or don't study to say I've sat in so much circles of knowledge, but I can't benefit the people. You see? Let alone benefit, I'm not even benefiting myself sometimes. When you're studying to take this knowledge and implement it and help maybe give guidance to someone else. Because you never know, there's going to be a situation where something's going to occur, but you're going to remember what you studied in one of these hadith. I remember Sheikh Abdul Razak, he was saying the story of a person who came to study the 40 hadith, and the condition was that you have to memorize it. And I think he was like a worker who lived in a house, and in their circumstances, they don't have much money. So all workers live in one house, basically. And he studied the hadith and memorized the hadith. And any time masail came up, arguments come up, he's refuting them based on what he studied with the sheikh of the 40 hadith. And he came and said, like, I feel like a sheikh. And the sheikh's like, this is just the beginning. Just the beginning, akhi. Because sometimes for us in the West, it's detrimental. How many times have we seen people study something on a basic level, generally speaking, but then they talk about the most advanced things? Or they act like the opinion they're aware of is the only opinion in the dunya, and if you don't take it, then you're off. Or we put ourselves in the forefront and start to give rulings when we're not muta'ahhilan lihada, and we're not qualified to do so. This all goes back to the hadith, man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawm al-akhir falyaqul khayran aw liyasmut qawlan sadida. Speech that is correct. If you're speaking about the religion with no knowledge, even if what you're saying sounds good, it's evil. Because you don't have knowledge. Some people, they just want to be involved, but they don't want to take the steps to get there. Because they see the results. It's nice giving a lecture. It's nice having the Muslims sit around you. Oh, it's nice having so many followers. Those who are doing it for the sake of, I don't care how much people's following them. That was not their goal. Imam An-Nawawi wasn't saying, yeah, I want to know exactly how many people have my book in their house. His goal was, I'm going to write this book knowing that the Muslims can benefit from it. And I ask Allah to accept this from me, this work, for His sake. And that's why when the ulama speak about the book of that Imam An-Nawawi, do you know how many people have written 40 hadith? Many. Many have gathered 40 hadith, but the one that is remembered and in nearly every household is the 40 hadith of Imam An-Nawawi. Many people have explained Sahih Bukhari. Many people have explained Sahih Muslim. But the ones that are known the most is what? Fathul Bari, Ibn Hajar, and Sahih Muslim by Imam An-Nawawi, the Sharh. You see? Even now, Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, his books are known to nearly everyone and are nearly available to everyone. And for those who come with us to Umrah, inshallah, next month, you'll see. We'll take you to the Mu'assisa next to the Haram, where you see the Shaykh Uthaymeen's books. You can buy them for a cheap price. And wallahi, subhanAllah, these are the signs of ikhlas. The best thing is that a person returns to Allah because of a reminder you gave them. A person's iman increases because of the reminder you gave them. A person is saved from doing sin because of the reminder you gave them. All for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You ask Allah to make you a means that people are guided, that you are a good example, that you follow the way of the Salaf. All in seeking reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing else. Nowadays, another thing that bugs me, you find those who say they're involved in da'wah, they say, I need thousands of pounds to buy cameras and equipment. My Sheikh, Haytham Salhan, he's filming with his phone wherever he goes. He doesn't care, you can hear the plane background noise. You think that bothers him? He's with Sheikh, let's record the benefit for the people. He doesn't need no £100,000 to give da'wah. When you find those who come and say, yeah, Sheikh, I've seen what you've done, print these books, I'm going to pay for them. Because you have some people, they're not students of knowledge, but they practice the religion. They're ashab al-mal, they're the ones who are wealthy. They look for opportunities to support khair. Allah is going to guide them to those who have ikhlas. Those who are doing the right thing. But nowadays, everyone needs a new camera. Nowadays, everyone needs a good camera because I want to make it like HD. It needs to look like Netflix quality for da'wah. You see? And super editing. Look, do you see how the camera went? For da'wah. You see? All we have to have is ikhlas. We do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person doesn't have, you don't have that camera. My phone, I bought my phone second hand. It has HD camera. Why do I need to get the most HD? You can see me, you can hear me. Khalas, jazakallahu khairan. Wadih? Na'am. La bas. Don't need nothing more. You see? When you got people that are in dire need, but we should buy a camera. We got our priorities wrong. And especially for da'wah of the younger generation, it needs to return to the traditional ways, those who preceded us. And there should always be consultation with them. You see? But the most important thing is al-ikhlas. Ikhlas. We have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us ikhlas. Because as Imam Ahmed said, Amrun niyya shadid. Wallahi, it's not easy. It's not easy. You have to remind yourself all the time, Ya Allah, please make this for your sake only. And what you'll realize, because you're going to have those who have jealousy, you're going to have those who don't like you because of you, you're going to have those who have a problem with you, and even if you say the haqq, it's because you said it, don't want to hear it. But when you have ikhlas, none of that matters. It doesn't matter if one person's in front of you, if 5 persons in front of you. Do you know what they said about Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah? No one knew him until his beard was grey. That for 20 years, he only had like 3 students. When I sat with one of his students, the Shaykh said, his Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di, rahimahullah, taught the book Umdatul Ahkam. Everyone knows this book. The book of hadith that's in order of fiqh. That is only taken from the Sahihain. The Shaykh said only 3 people finished the book with Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di. And Shaykh Uthaymeen was one of them. You see, they have thousands of students, not always. Some people think that's a sign. Some of the most astray people have 100,000 followers in their talks. Does that mean that their talk is the one to go to? They have barakah? No. But when a person has ikhlas, they don't see, it's not, okay, I only got 1 student. Let's cancel the lesson today. La. They say Shaykh Uthaymeen will give the talk and no one's there. These are the signs of ikhlas. When you hear the story of Shaykh Uthaymeen, Shaykh bin Baz, wallahi, it's ajib. Allah gave these ulama success. But you have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's from Allah. The knowledge we have is from Allah. The ability to convey the knowledge is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything you want in this dunya from khair, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All protection you want from evil, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's going to come in the hadith that I wanted to skip to out of hastiness. Now when it comes, inshallah, hadith number 19, we're 2 hadith away. As I did with the hadith of Jibril, I took the book of Sheikh Fawzan. There is a 1 book written on that hadith. When it comes to that hadith, I'm going to go through this book. Hadith number 19. And this is called Nur al-Iqtibas. And this is by Imam al-Suyuti, rahimahullah, in his explanation of the hadith, Ya ghulam, inni u'allimuka kalimatin, that I'm going to teach you some words, ihfadillah, yahfadkallah. This book is written in explanation of that hadith, so inshallah, we'll take that time to maybe go through this book, or much of it. As there's no rush, we want to get as much benefit as possible, and that is a hadith that is very comprehensive, that has many fawaid, many benefits, inshallah ta'ala, that we'll benefit from that, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And we'll end there, inshallah. Subhanaka wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, wa astaghfiru wa atubu ilayk. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. كيف حالك؟ بخير؟ الحمد لله. That's your younger brother, yeah? Allah Mubarak. MashaAllah. Jameel. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Yeah, I managed to get it working. I don't know what was going on. I had to restart my laptop during the lesson.
Next week Sunday. When are you going?
Inshallah, I'm going 14th of February.
That's good.
Okay, I can't wait. I need to rehab now.
Yeah,
Barakallah feek. Jazakallah khair. Hayakallah. We'll see you more often, inshallah. MashaAllah. Allah Mubarak. When you going?
End of next month, inshallah.
MashaAllah.